Welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the co founder of Evolve Journal, building happier and healthier lives through journaling and community, teaching how reflection action equals real progress, no other than Mr. Freddie Titcombe.
Hey Daniel, how you doing?
I'm fabulous, Mr. Freddie. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, sure. I'm Freddie Titcombe, co-founder of the Evolve Journey. We've been going now since 2019, really just creating products that help people live a happier, healthier life and empowering them to enjoy the journey and become the best versions of themselves. So part of that has been the best-selling Evolve Journal that we created, seeing that actually journaling is really powerful, but out there in the rest of the market, we weren't really satisfied with what we saw. So we set about and creating our own, and we're on the second version of that, soon to be the third version of that, continuously improving, and as you were, uh, evolving, as it's in the name.
Evolving for sure. And Mr. Freddie Titcombe, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about stop deferring happiness, how to build a life you actually enjoy along the way. And tell us, let's start with the big one. How do you believe so many of us fall into a trap of thinking, I'll be happy when? Yeah, what's the underlying psychology?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, and I think it stems back from, there was a period in time where humans were just sort of living in the moment, going through their days, very present, just able to enjoy happiness and their time with their relationships, maybe their tribe, in a fairly easy way. And then religion came along and became very widespread, and then almost the human conscious got adapted and taken over by a different perspective of, okay, so I am to enjoy the moment, right? No, I need to sacrifice. I need to make different changes in my day because I eventually want to go to heaven. So people will already start deferring that happiness and saying, I'm going to be happy when I'm dead, which is quite extreme. But if we fast forward to sort of today, you see it quite commonly in people that have ambitious goals. So whether they're business people or athletes is a good example. They will have this big goal. Take Tyson Fury, the heavyweight boxer. He has this goal of becoming world champion. When he finally reaches it, then he finds himself depressed. He's been telling himself, I'm going to be happy when, I'm going to be happy when, I'm going to be happy when. And then he finally achieves the thing that he told him would make him happy and complete. And then it ends in depression because of a thing called hedonic adaptation, which basically means that once we have highs or lows in our life, then we actually return back to a baseline level of happiness. And they've done research on this that shows, you can have an extreme high, such as winning the lottery, or an extreme low, such as having an amputation. Then both of these people respond from an extreme high or an extreme low back to a baseline level of happiness. So it's a dangerous game to play. I'm gonna make lots of sacrifices in the moment to tell myself that in the future I'm gonna be completely complete and it's gonna be paradise, because actually you're going to return back down to this baseline level of happiness. So if you don't have the right mindset, the right controls in place to, have the perspective to look towards new goals, to try and build that baseline level of happiness. Yeah, Daniel, I think you're sort of setting yourself up for failure there.
Interesting and empowering answer, Mr. Freddie. So, can you share a story from your own life where you realized you were deferring your happiness, and what was the catalyst for that awakening?
Yeah, I think it's easy to fall into that trap, right? And in my own life, probably you can get an example of that in education. I'm getting a bit of a strange echo at the moment. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, in education, right? So you're always jumping through a hoop. You tell yourself, "Oh well, I get through the next stage of university, and then everything's going to be happy days." The sort of story that you get told by your teachers is, if you get the grades, if you do the university, then everything will just work out. So certainly, sacrificing for those goals, there was an element of deferring happiness, and I think it's easy to slip into it with our business and the goals that we have. So, we want to get to this level of revenue, or this many people using the journal on a monthly basis is goals, right? But your modus operandum can try and trick you into thinking, well, we need to suffer in the meantime until we complete it. We need to suffer and grind and put ourselves through for our paces. But the good thing about what we do is it's kind of built into the business and the product that we have in the journal. We use it ourselves on a daily basis, and it takes a philosophy of a regular gratitude problem, with a regular gratitude practice. Sorry, I should say, which essentially helps you to, when you're journaling every day and on gratitude, it helps you to basically appreciate the moment and also focus on what you have and not what you lack. So the difference between your expectations and reality, if there's a gap there and you can exceed your expectations on reality and appreciate what you have, the people in your life, the relationships that you're building, the process that you're working on to achieve the goal, so you can become connected to the journey through gratitude, then you're already helping yourself enjoy that journey a lot more. And then we bake in something that's called the four pillars of happiness. So this is health, wealth, relationships, and freedom. And we basically systematically remove any of the blockers that are stopping us from having a built-up area. So take health as an example. If you're sleeping really poorly, that can impact on your health, your energy, create all sorts of long-term complications down the line. So you fix the sleep, you build the health pillar, and then you create the conditions for happiness. And if we build those four pillars of happiness, the health, wealth, relationships, and freedom, then it goes back to that piece of the baseline level of happiness. We're able to raise the baseline. So when we have these highs and lows on the way to achieving our goal, or ultimately when we achieve the goal, the baseline level of happiness that we're returning to is at a much higher level.
Mr. Freddy, how can someone distinguish between healthy ambition and striving versus the toxic kind that comes to the cost of their present moment well-being?
Yeah, I think the some of the toxic stuff comes in when you are tricked into playing comparison games, and you're basically achieving goals that aren't necessarily your own goals, but they're the ones that you expect that you should be working on. So if I take an example of you're going through a process to find a new job, new employment, you've got in that observable metrics such as your your salary, the title of your job, the company that you work for example. All of these are observable metrics, and we can play the status game with them, and we can look good to other people. We can say I'm on this amount of money, blah blah blah. But what we don't take into account with those observable metrics is behind them there are hidden metrics. Now, the hidden metrics in this example could be that there's a really long commute. Um, it could be that actually you can't sleep at night because you're so stressed. It could be that you're working like 80-hour weeks. Salary might be great, but in the background you're working really, really hard, which all of those things, if we were to pursue just based on observable of achieving this ambitious goal without considering the full package of the hidden metrics, then that can be toxic, right? Because you're essentially doing things to show off, to play the status games, to prove to yourself that you are X, but in the background you're sacrificing lots of the stuff that I would argue is way more important to you, such as your your peace of mind, the quality of the relationships that you have, your stress levels, your health, etc. So obviously that's not to say that we should just completely abandon ambition. Make reflecting on what you really want and making progress towards goals that matter to you is not only really enriching, but it's fun in and of itself. But it's a case of analyzing the sacrifices that you're making and making sure they're worth the trade off, right? Because there's always going to be trade offs along the way, and doing that reflection piece can help you to avoid some of that toxic stuff and that sort of like hustle culture and going too over the top.
Mr. Freddie, can you tell us your catalyst to a better life? What is all about?
The catalyst for a better life. That's a big question. That's a big question. I think I think very much the philosophy that we take here that's baked into the business that me and Sam, my co-founder and brother, live and breathe on a daily basis is um, reflection plus action equals progress. And I think going through that process is how you will create a better life for yourself. So the reflection piece can come in the form of journaling, meditating, um, really sitting with yourself and understanding what you want out of this short time that we've got on the earth, and who the kind of person that you want to be is, and getting really connected into that why and the vision for what you want to do. It's that whole, if you don't reflect, if you don't know the destination that you're sailing to, no wind is favorable, and that stops you from basically just drifting and going with the flow and ending up blinking, and you're much later in life, you're disillusioned by who you've become, and you're very far away from what you ever imagined would become your life, right? So that's the reflection piece. And then with reflection, it's not completely meaningless, but it's difficult to get the full impact of the reflection without taking action. So that part is critical, and that doesn't mean to say that it needs to be insane, drastic action where you're going back to the toxic part, like burning yourself out and going mental with it. But that is to say that after reflecting, taking consistent, persistent, sometimes small, sometimes big actions on a daily, weekly basis in the right direction will compound massively and create epic results for you in every area of your life. And if you are reflecting and looking at those four pillars of happiness and trying to take action and build health, wealth, relationships, and freedom, you're going to be in a really good place as you build. And that's when the progress side of that little equation comes out. You make progress, and then you go back to reflecting to make sure actually this is still the correct ladder that I want to climb up. Because you might get a third of the way up a metaphorical ladder and realize that actually it's not for you, and it's way better to shift, change directions, work on your new hobby, your new skill that's exciting you, that's lighting you up, and build that.
Mr. Freddie, as a co-founder of Evolve Journal, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
um, Short-term goals this year for us are to release the latest version of our journal. We've got this existing journal here. This is the second one. You can see that from our website, and we're just coming out of production. It's been many months of refining, grabbing customer feedback, iterating, and developing to get to the third version of our journal, which is a massive level up for us. We're really developing a lot, not only just on the principles within it, but from a design, aesthetics, usability point of view. It's really going to another level. So short-term goal is to launch that, and we're hoping to have the biggest January ever. It seems to be the time of year where people are very open to journaling and starting fresh with the new year and the excitement of setting goals for 2026. So that's a short term goal, to release that and try and help as many people with the journal launch as possible, and to basically fill up our online community, which we have, which wraps around the journal. It's an online group where people work on monthly challenges. We coach them through identifying their biggest goals, removing their blockers, and just keep it fun and engaging. And all of the community members are basically joining other journalers that are on a similar journey to them, and that sense of community provides the accountability to for people to make transformations that they've never done before. And when they've struggled with consistency, that's where we come in to help there. So that's short term. And long term, we've got ambitious goals uh, to help many people with the products that we're releasing. So I'd say the longer term goals are a number that me and Sam have between ourselves, of the amount of people that we'd like to help with the journals and the accountability academy that we offer.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Freddie, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be entrepreneur like you?
Um, yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. It's a fun game, and I think going back to what we're saying today, it's making sure that you're setting up the systems to be able to enjoy the journey. Because if you are white knuckling it and you're hating it, you're just not going to have the stamina and the resilience to do what is necessary to be successful, which is to be very consistent and persistent over the long term, and to continually learn from your setbacks, grow from them, accept it as feedback, and keep pushing. So make sure that you enjoy the journey, and that's very different from me saying find something and follow your passion, because you can certainly be connected to a business and grow something really awesome where you're not necessarily passionate about the product or the service, but you're connected to the fun game of business, of optimizing things, of finding the best talent, of delighting your customers. If you can let that light you up, then you can go into any business that doesn't necessarily need to be passionate about. And in fact, it could be a very boring business, but then you're connected to the things that reward you, that excite you within the business. So yeah, in short, make sure you enjoy the journey, else you will drop out before you end up seeing the success that you're craving.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Freddie. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the key ones that's influenced the journal itself, the my personal mindset, and the philosophy that we have in the business is "Obstacle is the Way" by Ryan Holiday. I think if someone's not looked into Stoicism as a philosophy before, it's a great starting point. And even if you're experienced in that area, it wraps in real world examples throughout history that just make it super relevant. And having recommended this book to quite a few people that struggled with resilience, essentially, they would take setbacks as horrible negatives that would dent their self confidence, lead to overthinking, lead to more procrastination. They would get like afraid of making mistakes or failure or bad things happening along the way. This book helps to reframe those setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, and it really builds in the growth mindset um, aspect of stoicism and links it all together really nicely. So yeah, I'd always recommend that book, and it's got a great audio version with the author actually narrating it as well.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Freddie. And how does learning to enjoy the journey actually, perhaps the continuity, improve our outcomes and performance in the long run?
Yeah, if we can learn to enjoy the journey, we're going to be more consistent, right?
Yes.
And the consistency. I mean, Daniel, I've seen the output that you've got. You know a thing or two about consistency. I'm sure with how much you put out. Um, I'll put the question back to you. Would you be able to do everything that you do in terms of how consistent you are if you didn't enjoy the journey?
No. For sure, if you enjoy what you're doing, even if you're tired, you will have the dedication to do it every single day.
Exactly. You're creating a system that makes it feel good, right? And if it
Yes.
feels good and you're connected to the reward of it, that can push you through. And some days you might need motivation. Some days you might need willpower. But I think ultimately, if you're connected to how much you enjoy it, then you're going to keep on doing it. So it, if you reflect as well, you're gonna, as you build things, say you're a business owner and you're reflecting on which elements of the business that you enjoy and which ones that make you hate it and make you want to quit. um, you're going to be able to remove them or delegate them to someone else. You might have someone in your sales team who's the top performer, but he makes you absolutely hate every day that you go into work because of the personality that he has and the way that he treats people. You might get the financial results that you're craving, but you turn your day into hell, and it makes you want to quit. So I think it's about being smart and trying to remove the blockers to enjoyment, and then the enjoyment will naturally follow on with consistency. And with consistency, if you're able to learn, adapt, and grow, then you get the results.
Mr. Freddy, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 review in fifth season too, Comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well, Geography 101 in fourth season, and my Baby Podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Friday, to end on forward-looking note, if we successfully stop deferring happiness? What does a well lived day look and feel like? And how does it compound into truly fulfilling life?
I think it's about not being afraid to go after the things that you want on a daily basis. So, fear and overthinking and procrastination no longer hold you back, and you can take action in the direction that is most meaningful to you. So, you will have reflected on what's important, be that hobbies, time alone, traveling, friends, working on your career, working on a book, whatever it is. And you can on a daily basis, reflect on what's most important to you, why it's most important to you, and the things that you enjoy. And you can schedule your day around that. And the more you do that, and the more you optimize for health, wealth, relationships, and freedom being a very important one. So you have the freedom to make choices. You have the freedom to work when you want, how you want. Um, that is a goal that makes all of the other ones multiply in the benefit that you'll feel on a daily basis, and how you'll um, enjoy and take pleasure in the journey towards achieving your goals.
Mr. Freddie Titcombe, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, please find us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, evolve journey. You can find us on our website, evolvejourney.co.uk. Reach out to us. We're very responsive. We're always like hearing from people, and any way that we can help, we will.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Freddie Titcombe because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering Evolve Journal will rise. So, Mr. Friday, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Moticon people, see you soon.